Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to Sister Wives with Mary Jane K. Today, I'll be giving my commentary on Seeking Sister Wife, Season 5, Episode 10, Seeking a Deeper Understanding. The episode opens with the Merrifields. Of course, as we remember, the judge isn't willing to marry Garrick and Natalia. Garrick feels bad about it. Natalia looks pissed. And Danielle claims for her this is bittersweet with a big smile on her face. Natalia is bitter, of course she is, and Garrick doesn't look too happy, not about the baby or the wedding that's not happening. However, Danielle is glowing. She's all smiles as she reflects that Garrick and Natalia are having a rough time since the judge refused to marry them. This is all sweetness for Danielle. She feels like she won. She looks happier than we have seen her in a while because there is a huge obstacle now in Garrick and Natalia's path. And I think Danielle can see Natalia won't be having this for long. And maybe she thinks now that she has a baby on the way, she will get her man. Listen, Garrick isn't going to be present with Danielle, baby or no baby. Garrick's main concern is always going to be his dick and himself and scouring the dating apps for the next vulnerable, financially disadvantaged younger woman to join his cult. A baby isn't going to change things. A prospective wife that didn't work out, if Natalia doesn't work out, that won't change things. Garrick isn't going to change. Garrick isn't going to stop. And Garrick just isn't that into his wife or the mother of his kids. Danielle, he doesn't give a fuck about her. He also isn't that into all the women he tries to manipulate and take advantage of. Garrick is only into himself. His only priorities seem to be his ego and his dick, in my opinion. Danielle, Natalia, and Garrick are all going to go together to see the baby for the first time with an ultrasound. If Danielle thinks Garrick will stop his behavior just because things happen to not work out with Natalia or just because she has this baby, that now he's going to suddenly magically prioritize and respect her, she's dead wrong. Danielle needs to get some common sense. There is definitely a deficiency going on there if she believes this baby will ever change Garrick. Whether Natalia is the woman of the day or it becomes another one, Garrick won't change. And Danielle putting up with Garrick, insisting on him, groveling to be with him, going against her gut, going against her intuition is part of the reason that Garrick doesn't respect her. People do what you allow. Men do what you put up with. And Danielle doesn't seem to know her worth. She doesn't seem to understand that there will always be a new Natalia. A baby won't change that. Danielle wants to be Garrick's Natalia. She wants to be his priority. Of course, she's his wife and the mother of his kids, but it's never going to happen. And I think Danielle knows that in her gut, but she will continue to ignore her gut. She'll continue to ignore the red flags. She'll continue to ignore her emotions. She'll continue to ignore her instincts, and she will drink the Kool-Aid. She will go to this ultrasound with Garrick and Natalia, thinking she's won, basking in the glow of a false victory, thinking that this will finally drive Natalia away and she will have Garrick all to herself. But there are thousands of Natalias, and Garrick will always be on the hunt. Danielle needs to love herself. She needs to love herself the way she thinks she loves Garrick, because this is really sad. Danielle is all smiles about this baby, and of course she's thrilled. It's a beautiful thing, even in this mess of a situation, but it's not a happy day for everyone. Natalia is depressed. She is devastated because the wedding didn't work out, and Garrick is devastated too. He reveals the news that he and Natalia were purposely trying to get pregnant actively. So she is really disappointed because she had an experience where she thought she was pregnant. She was late, but she was disappointed to find she didn't get pregnant when Danielle got pregnant unexpectedly and Danielle wasn't planning it. And it just happened accidentally. Garrick describes it as surprise, whoops. Yes, his new baby is a whoops. That's how he describes her. His daughter is going to watch this later on, and she is going to hear how he was trying to impregnate another woman who was disappointed that she was not with child when he accidentally got her mom pregnant. And she's going to see her father describe it as surprise, whoops. How's that going to make his child feel? All of their children are probably going to resent these parents when they get older and they look back and they watch this crap. In the ultrasound room, Natalia looks like she just got a whiff of shit. And Danielle says nothing goes as planned and she is all smiles. And Natalia mentions that Danielle is having a good day, but her day is bad. And she says she is mentally exhausted. Garrick, of course, is oblivious to everyone's emotions. He just wants them all to be happy as a family, as long as his little brain is getting what it wants. Danielle is all smiles. She's trying to tell Natalia that everything's okay. And Natalia is rolling her eyes. She is pissed. Danielle says she hoped that Natalia would get pregnant. And she feels like there is apprehension in the air. There's tension in the air because of the baby situation. And she knows that Natalia is thinking that Danielle did this on purpose. Danielle really hopes that this brings them all together to see the baby on the ultrasound, to share in this beautiful moment. And she feels having Natalia there, this is one of the beautiful things about a plural lifestyle, sharing all the beautiful moments together as a family. And Danielle points out it's not just about sharing the husband, it's about sharing the family, sharing the children, sharing all the beautiful moments together. So Danielle hopes this brings them all together. Yeah, I'm sure she hopes that. It's not going to happen. If anyone believes that'll genuinely happen, I have a home with a waterfront view to sell you. It has a beautiful disappearing edge pool. I'm taking offers now. This baby isn't going to change a thing. Natalia explains that it's a special moment for Garrick and Danielle. Natalia says she got sad because Garrick didn't take any initiative to talk to her. Garrick didn't have time to talk to her about the pregnancy. So she and Garrick haven't even discussed this yet. So Natalia is still adapting to everything. She's learning how to deal with things. And Danielle, of course, is overcome with joy. She is in tears, understandably, as she listens to the heartbeat with Garrick by her side for the first time seeing their baby. And we learn that Danielle is 11 weeks along. She is relieved that the baby is okay, that she's okay. Natalia has resting bitch face, though. She has resting bitch face during the whole appointment. She looked like she smelled some shit. She says it was crazy. She felt weird about it. It was a sad feeling for her, but she tried to put on a brave face. She stayed strong for everyone else. Danielle says that God put herself and Garrick together. And so because God put them together, she wants to support Garrick. She wants to support Natalia. She says they are her community. She wants to have good communication with them. They are her family. But I don't think Natalia feels the same way. I don't think Natalia is committed to them. Danielle feels very strongly her commitment for Natalia and Garrick and for the family. I don't think Natalia feels the same. Next up are the Salahuddins, and they're going to be going to lunch with Nyla's friend, a polygamist who is also in a polyamorous relationship, and with Naeem's mom, because they think this friend can help Naeem's mom open her mind to the polygamy thing. Yeah, she's not open to polygamy, but you're going to bring someone who is polygamous, polyamorous, and bisexual to try and ease Naeem's mom's fears, when already polygamy is a big thing for her to accept. Nyla really wants Naeem's mom, who hates polygamy, to meet her friend to get a better perspective on what polygamy is about. And for some reason, she thinks this is going to shift Naeem's mom's perspective. I think it's going to blow up, but it makes for great TV. So Nyla's friend, the polygamist, polyamorist, is going to be helping to ease Naeem's mom, to ease her mind, to help talk to her. And Naeem likens his mom to Godzilla. He warns this friend that she's not so nice. And he lets this friend know his mom is no nonsense. She's very tough. She's extremely resistant to polygamy. So Nyla's friend is really hoping to open up Naeem's mom's perspective, to introduce her to what the possible benefits of polygamy could be for her son and his wife, so that she will be more receptive to it. Bad idea. So Naeem's mom arrives, she sits down, and immediately, right out of the gate, she wants to know if this friend is a potential sister wife for them, or if she's just a platonic friend. And Naeem's mom reveals if they had ambushed her with a prospective sister wife when she already made it clear she wasn't down to meet them, she would have just left immediately. Now, Nyla says her friend is awesome And the mother-in-law makes it very clear that there are lots of awesome people in the world that she chooses not to be around. Naeem's mom isn't going to put up with the bullshit. Next up are the Davis family. So the sister wives are going on a date with a prospective woman named Jasmine. The Davis family, it's the women who take the lead, and they always meet potential sister wives before Nick does. Danielle expresses that it's scary to bring in someone who she could actually potentially legally marry. Now, she looks at dating from a wife role, she says, though, not from the outside perspective of being a potential sister wife from the dating perspective. She was in that role before, and now she's a wife, so she's trying to see it from that role. Jasmine is 30, and she is interested in polygamy, and she says she wants to make mom friends, and she wants to have a stable environment for her son. So what if she works out? So she'll go out and work with the women, and Nick will play Mr. Mom to her son? Is that how it's going to work? Jasmine would consider that a solid, stable environment. Really? Is that a solid, stable environment? Does Jasmine want to be on a reality show, or is Jasmine really interested in being a part of this family and being a part of that type of polygamous relationship? I don't know. April wants Danielle to be in the driver's seat asking all the hard questions. She wants Danielle to be okay with this. She wants to make sure Danielle is okay and that Danielle feels like she is in charge. Now, Danielle asks if Jasmine has ever been in a polygamous relationship before. Jasmine has been interested in it, but she's never tried it. She's never jumped headfirst in the pool yet. She's interested in it though. Now, Jasmine asks what drew the women to the lifestyle. And Jennifer says she feels a sense of security. She feels like she can thrive with polygamy, and the family is something she can rely on. And Jasmine says she's easygoing, she hates repetition, and she has an 11-year-old son. She doesn't mention the awesome stuff about him. She mentions how she gets annoyed when he can be repetitive, repeating the same line of a song over and over. She complains that she wishes he would just finish the song. And Jasmine claims she loves being pregnant. She loves having babies. She already has the 11-year-old son. And she says she will populate the next generation if they want her to. Blech. Jasmine doesn't mind sharing a bed with 4 other people that she doesn't really know yet. She's fine with it. And April explains that their non-traditional household works very differently than most households. And in their home, the women work as the man stays home. And April asks Jasmine how she feels about that. And Jasmine, of course, has all the right things to say. She loves telling people what they want to hear. Jasmine says most people are raised in a wolf pack environment with the alpha male and his partner, where everyone falls in line after that. And Jasmine says in her household growing up, they were more like a pride. The men would stay home, her dad would work nights and stay home with the kids, and her mom was the major breadwinner of the family. She says that the women do the grunge in the family, and the strongest of the family, the men, they stay home, and she feels that's how it should be. I feel she's trying to tell these people what they want to hear. Jasmine wants to know what the hardest thing is about doing this, about living in a plural family. And Danielle says you can't be complacent. It's not always easy. It's really hard, and it's trial and error. And Jasmine explains that she never gets jealous. She has nothing to be jealous about. And she says she's pretty mellow. Red flag, alert, alert, alert. Danielle notices that Jennifer is being agreeable to a lot of the things that they discuss about being in a plural relationship, and that agreeableness could potentially be a red flag. Ding, ding, ding. Danielle wonders if Jasmine really feels this way, or if it's something where she just wants the family to like what she has to say. That's interesting. I do agree with Danielle that Jasmine is telling these people what they want to hear. And I don't know if it's she wants to be on a TV show, she wants clout, or if she misguidedly thinks this would bring security for her son. But whatever her intentions, I don't feel they're the right ones. I think it's interesting, though, that Danielle is projecting what she also does with the family in regards to dating onto Jasmine. As we know, Danielle isn't really okay with dating. She said she was okay just to be agreeable. And Nick picked up on that, and April to some extent as well. Danielle herself is being agreeable, telling the Davises what they want to hear, even though that's not the honest truth. And although Jasmine is doing this too, Danielle can't see maybe that she herself is doing it. But she projects that on Jasmine, and it's the truth. It's not actually just projection, but she calls out the potential that Jasmine is just being agreeable and that she's not being honest with herself and everyone else. So that's interesting. April throws out the idea of Jasmine and Nick going out on a one-on-one date, and Jasmine is thrilled. She says she felt the chemistry and she is really optimistic about meeting Nick for the first time. And she feels if Nick is anything like the women he keeps, then they should click just like she clicked with the women. Just like the women he keeps, those women keep Nick. They work, he stays home, they keep him. What the fuck is this woman even talking about? The women he keeps? What? They work. They pay for his existence. They pay for the existence of his children. April and Jennifer feel really good about this. And Danielle thinks it went very well. Jasmine seems down. April is very happy with Jasmine. And she wonders, though, if Jasmine is a little too agreeable or if maybe Jasmine is hiding something. She thinks Nick would really like Jasmine, but she worries about Danielle and losing Danielle in the process of dating still. Well, in my opinion, if Danielle was a really valued member of the family and they love Danielle and they absolutely have to have her in the family, they wouldn't be dating when both April and Nick know that Danielle is just being agreeable and that she's really not cool with it. And Danielle has admitted in confessionals herself that if she were being honest, she's not really cool with this. She's not really ready for all this. So they know and they're still going along with it. If they really gave a fuck about Danielle, they wouldn't be. Back to the Merrifields. Tonight, Natalia's friends are coming over. It was supposed to be a wedding party, but now her friends are just coming over to support Natalia in this difficult time. In the beginning, when Natalia told her friends that she was in a polygamous relationship, they asked her if she was crazy. Natalia's friends are going to be meeting Danielle and Garrick for the first time. Natalia feels now her friends get to see that the relationship is real and they're going to see her in the relationship and how it functions, and they're going to understand her more and they're going to support her in this because they want her to be happy. So Natalia's friends ask Danielle how the experience has been with Natalia, and Danielle responds that it's been good so far, and Garrick underscores that it's good, but it's also sad, as all of Natalia's friends are side-eyeing Danielle. This is awkward as fuck. Natalia breaks the news to her friends about how the marriage office found out that Danielle and Garrick live together in the US. So because of that, they recognize Garrick and Danielle as a stable union, and they consider that an impediment to getting married. So this is an impediment to Garrick being able to marry Natalia in Brazil. And they just found out yesterday that they wouldn't be getting married and that the wedding was off. So Natalia tells her friend that she was sad. She planned the hair, the dress, the venue, everything for this wedding. She had everything booked and now everything is off. And the worst part of all of this was calling her family to tell them not to come, that the wedding wasn't happening. It's awkward. Garrick and Natalia and Danielle are there with all of Natalia's friends as Danielle is talking to her friends in Portuguese. So Natalia explains to her friends that she was there with Garrick and Danielle when Garrick saw the baby on the ultrasound for the first time. And she explains that she witnessed a very happy moment for Garrick. And she went with them. She tried to be excited for them because it's the first time that Garrick and Danielle are seeing their baby. So she was trying not to ruin their special moment with the way she was feeling and her emotions. Now, Natalia's friend explains to Garrick and Danielle that Natalia has just said that she knew that Garrick and Danielle were seeing their baby for the first time. It was a happy moment for them, and Natalia was sad. She was experiencing all the emotions with her wedding being called off and with everything, but she still tried to be happy in the moment for them, and she didn't want to ruin that moment for them with her emotions. So Natalia tells Garrick in front of all of her friends that she felt bad because she and Garrick still haven't talked at all. Garrick has made no effort to talk to her after they learned that Danielle was pregnant. Garrick seemed happy about the pregnancy. He told Natalia they would definitely talk later, but he never proceeded to have a conversation with her. He never took the time to talk to her. So Natalia and Garrick still haven't talked one-on-one since they found out the news that Danielle was pregnant. They never had a discussion about it. Natalia tells Garrick and all of her friends, and Danielle of course, that Garrick didn't comfort her emotionally during this time. And Natalia's friend speaks amazing English, and she translates to Garrick that Natalia thinks he ignored her, as Garrick looks completely clueless. And Danielle explains to Natalia and her friends that she is confused. She feels like Garrick comforted Natalia a lot. He was emotional. He cried. And so Danielle is standing by her man. And Danielle feels like this was a lot for Garrick. And she also says that this is new for Natalia and that Natalia has to understand that as the husband in this plural family, Garrick will have his time divided. And as wives mutually together, they have to understand what Garrick is dealing with. They have to be sensitive to that. Yeah, but Garrick isn't sensitive to them or their needs. Now, Natalia says she wonders how Garrick will divide himself further, how much further he is willing to spread himself thin, because of course, Garrick wants 5 wives. Now, Natalia asks Garrick, with all her friends there, if he's going to have 4 or 5 wives. She wonders how much is enough. And Garrick responds that the point of a plural life is the wives are sisters, the wives are friends, and the wives need each other. And Garrick says, especially if there are 3 wives, if he has 3 wives, he says 2 wives wouldn't be with him. And those 2 wives can support each other and be each other's friends. They can talk about their feelings, whether they're sad or happy. They'll have a family. They'll have a sisterhood when Garrick is with the 3rd wife. So he feels it's best to have a lot of wives. This must be super awkward for Natalia's friends, especially the friend who is interpreting and having the conversation as the go-between between Danielle, Natalia, and Garrick. TLC needs to pay her. Now, Garrick is saying this is a sisterhood, and Natalia's friend asks if Danielle and Natalia feel that way about each other, that it's a sisterhood, that it's a support system. And Danielle says she wonders if Natalia feels that way. She wonders if Natalia feels that they can have that close sisterhood relationship. Natalia explains that for her, it's a slow process, and that relationship is built in stages. It's difficult. It takes time. And Danielle asks Natalia's friend through tears to ask Natalia if she will try to open up to her more, because she feels like since she got to Brazil, Natalia hasn't talked to her about the wedding. Communication is very limited. The relationship seems strained, and it has made Danielle feel very shut out. And she has been saying this over and over. She's the lone wolf. She's the outsider. She's the third wheel. It's Garrick and Natalia's relationship, and she's the outsider in that. This isn't a new theme that she has felt very shut out. Next up are the Davis family. The wives talk to Nick about their first meeting with Jasmine. Of course, Nick thinks she's hot. All he wants is to get his dick wet and to have his life paid for by the women who work for him. Now, Nick explains that his current wives seek out the potential wives in the family. They vet the women before he ever even meets them. Nick feels that ultimately the relationship that the women have between each other, that's the most important relationship in their dynamic. April and Danielle seem to like Jasmine. They know Nick would like her, but April is really worried about the beginning stages of bringing on a potential new wife with Danielle. And April says it's a good feeling to be the new sister wife, but the transition to becoming an actual sister wife, once you have new ones coming in, that can be difficult. And it's a good thing to be dating, but then once you become a sister wife, the dynamics change a little. So Jen explains to Nick that Jasmine hasn't ever been in a polygamous relationship before, but she's very comfortable with it. Danielle feels it went good and natural. It was cohesive. And Danielle knows it's the early stages of dating. But in her head, she can't shake that she is the one who would potentially have to get legally married to Jasmine or whoever the family brings in. So there is a lot at stake for Danielle, and she knows this could change her future as a whole. She is gonna wish she kept that apartment. So the next step, of course, is for Nick and Jasmine to go out alone so that Nick can get to know her one-on-one. Nick claims that he's excited to meet Jasmine. He thinks she has a really good energy, a good vibe, a good personality. I don't think Nick gives a fuck what the woman is like, as long as he can get his dick wet and as long as she is willing to support his ass as he stays at home. He doesn't give a fuck. Nick says he wants to make sure everyone is comfortable with moving at this pace. He knows that Danielle is not. Everyone knows Danielle isn't really comfortable, that she's just saying she is, but everyone's just going to go along with it and ignore Danielle's true feeling. Danielle says she wants to give it a chance as long as things go really slowly. April sees a lot of potential in Jasmine, but she wants to make sure Danielle is truly comfortable with this. She worries that deep down, Danielle might not really be okay. She worries, or she already knows. Which one? April asks Danielle if she is sure about this, and she worries that Danielle won't be open if she isn't okay with this. And Danielle says it's hard to voice her concerns, especially when everyone is so enthusiastically on board. Danielle doesn't want to be the lone wolf. She doesn't want to be the one to have a problem with things. Being a people pleaser isn't more important than what is in your own best interest. Danielle is obviously not cool with this. She's just doing this to be easy and to go along with things. And I think she knows she doesn't want to lose the family, and they all want this. And I think she knows if she wants to be there in that family, she has to tolerate this. She doesn't feel like she is worth asking them to stop dating. And if it means having this place to belong or pretending to be okay with something she clearly isn't okay with, she would rather live in La La Land and prolong the inevitable, because in the end, she's gonna leave. In my opinion, Danielle will never be okay with dating, and she is the one who will have to legally marry this new wife. She is ultimately gonna leave. She can't put up with this forever. She's not gonna live with this forever, and she can't play pretend for the rest of her life. Nick and April already know that Danielle is just faking it. So it's really just a matter of time. It's a matter of at what point Danielle will decide she is worth more than tolerating the intolerable. And that's in her hands. Everyone has a point, and hers will be when she actually probably has to legally affect her life and marry this woman. At that point, she will leave when she realizes the women will pick dating. The women and Nick will always pick expanding the family over her. At some point, Danielle will realize she never really belonged here in the first place if this family would choose dating over her, which they ultimately will. Danielle doesn't want to go against the grain. She doesn't want to tell her honest truth if it doesn't go along with what everyone else is feeling. Danielle is afraid, in my opinion, to find out the truth. When Danielle does tell her truth, that she's not comfortable with dating, that she doesn't want to date, and she finds out that these people care more about dating other women and expanding the family than they actually do about her, that is gonna make the signal go off to where she leaves permanently. But I don't know how long that's going to take. You know, if you don't feel like you are worth enough to these people to be able to use your voice with them and be honest with them and actually be heard, even if it goes against the grain, this isn't really the place for you. But that's just my opinion. These people already know that Danielle is faking it, and they will accept that in the hopes that they can string Danielle along and continue to manipulate her and suck her into this. Danielle is really going to wish she kept that apartment, and she will reach her breaking point. I just don't know when that is. Nick claims that he knows Danielle feels good about Jasmine now, but he doesn't know how it's going to go in the future. And he says he'll have to pay very close attention to Danielle's feelings in the future. He says he loves Danielle. He doesn't want her to move out. He doesn't want her to leave the family ever. He doesn't want her to leave the family for good. Well, if Danielle matters more than dating, they wouldn't be dating. Next up are the Salahuddins. Johari, Nyla's friend, asks Naeem's mom what her issue is. And Naeem's mom says she doesn't approve for her son to live like that, to live in a plural family. And Johari explains to Naeem's mom that a polygamous relationship isn't about sex, that this isn't about sex. And she explains, as if this is going to comfort Naeem's mom, that she is a bisexual and she lives in a polyamorous situation as well, and as a polygamist with polygamists, and they all share a bed. That is not going to ease Naeem's mom's mind at all. That's not going to make her feel that this isn't about sex. Naeem's mom isn't cool with it. And Nyla wants to share a room, we learn, with Naeem and her sister wife. She doesn't want to sleep away from Naeem. Johari tries to explain to Naeem's mom that Nyla is doing this to make herself better. She's doing this to make her husband better. This is not about sex. This is about family. This is about community. And Naeem's mom explains that it's not just about Naeem. It's not just about Nyla. Naeem's kids are involved. And Naeem's mom says she mentioned that from day one, that this wasn't okay because they have kids. And they still keep trying to convince her, and she's not going to be convinced. Now, Nyla tells Naeem's mom that she never expressed her feelings about the kids, and that's why she had a problem with polygamy. Nyla says Naeem's mom never expressed that stuff about the kids. She said it was dirty, it was about swapping germs, it was about sex. And Naeem's mom says they are grown and they're acting out of their own selfish reasons, doing this polygamy thing because they have kids. Naeem at this point stops his mom saying she's selfish, and Naeem tells his mom that they talked to their child about this, and Naeem's mom says that child is only 14 years old. The Salahuddins insist that they communicate with their daughter. She speaks her mind freely. She's allowed to communicate and express her opinions, and she's okay with this. And Naeem's mom feels that they are being selfish and that they should think about their child and prioritize their child. Naeem's mom says they are way too open with their child. And Nyla says they will decide for themselves what they're going to do, but they will always listen to their child's opinion and take that into account. Can a 14-year-old really understand all the aspects of living in a plural family, all the aspects of a polygamous relationship, all the different dynamics, what it's actually going to be like when it happens? You should always communicate and take your child's opinion into account. But even if they say they're comfortable with it, the reality is they may not be. And that's something you have to handle very gently. That's not something I would ever put my child through or spring on my child personally. But everyone chooses to do their parenting their own way. Naeem's mom says she knows her opinion doesn't matter. She knows they're going to do what they want regardless of that. And Naeem agrees with her. They will do what they want. And Nyla says Naeem's mom keeps changing her reasons for being against the lifestyle. Nyla says Naeem's mom is now grasping at straws. She's switching the reasons why she doesn't like polygamy. Now she's bringing the kid into this. And Nyla says this might be the last thing that Naeem's mom has to hold on to. I don't feel like this is grasping at straws at all. Now, I don't know to what extent Naeem's mom should be interfering with this, but I don't agree that it's grasping at straws. I think the mother has a valid point about the child, and she has a right to have whatever feelings she wants to about polygamy. And I don't think this is desperate or grasping at straws. I think the child is a legit reason, in my opinion. However, I don't know that it's Naeem's mother's place to interfere too much in that aspect of it. Naeem's mom just wants to make sure that they leave their kid out of this, that they don't involve her at all. And Nyla says they don't need to leave their kid out of it. And Naeem's mom says this isn't good for her. I have to agree. I don't think it's the healthiest thing. Nyla feels that Naeem's mom is making the assumption that her daughter isn't okay with this when she hasn't really talked to her granddaughter about this. Naeem claims that his daughter and his mother don't even have a relationship, but he says his mom likes to act like she is so involved, but she'll call her daughter for 5 minutes here and there, and that's it. That's the extent of their relationship. The Salahuddins claim they communicate very well with their kid, and they feel like Naeem's mom is just making assumptions. Nyla feels Naeem's mom is just assuming things about how their child feels when she doesn't actually talk to her grandchild. And Nyla says she doesn't have to assume about her child because she actually talks to her child and she knows where her daughter stands, unlike Naeem's mom. Naeem's mom's position is this 14-year-old daughter is still a child. This is too much for a child. And Nyla tells Naeem's mom that she is the one making an ass out of herself. And I think she struck a chord. Naeem's mom feels very disrespected by Nyla, and things start to really pop off. Nyla asks Naeem's mom when the last time was that she spoke to her grandchild, and it starts getting heated from there. Back to the Merrifields. Danielle asks Natalia's friend, who's translating, to ask Natalia to open up to her more, and Natalia rolls her eyes. She looks like she hates Danielle. Garrick explains that Natalia's friends showed up and things spiraled out of control emotionally. Garrick feels this is a lot to deal with Natalia's friends there, and Natalia's friend tells Natalia that Danielle is saying that since Garrick came to Brazil, it seems like she is more closed off with the relationship with her, and Danielle really wants that to improve. And Danielle says not to be rude, but sharing a husband, it's important for them both to be on the same page and for them to be communicating well. And Danielle tells Natalia that she is a very emotional person. She doesn't hide her feelings, and she knows Natalia is more reserved. She doesn't show her emotions. She doesn't wear her heart on her sleeve. She doesn't cry. And Danielle says it feels strange. She knows that, but it might take time to forge this relationship. And Natalia explains that she has a very different personality than Danielle's, and it's going to be a gradual friendship. It's going to take a lot of time. Garrick explains how hard it is for him. He's a victim, guys. This is so hard for him. Oh my God. He loves both of these women. And Garrick says he loves the sisterhood, but this is so hard for him. But his favorite part of plural living is seeing all of the love and seeing all of the affection there between his wives. What kind of bullshit is this? Does he not remember the argument 5 weeks ago in the kitchen when Danielle was pissed because Natalia was leaving all her messages on read, yet she had no problem communicating with Garrick? I don't see a lot of love and affection there between the sister wives. I see resentment, I see frustration, I see jealousy, I see insecurity, and everything that's going to come with that. I think Garrick lives in La La Land. Garrick explains that when his wives are unified in love, it makes him a better man, and it makes it hard sometimes. And he says this as he wipes away his tears. It makes it hard when his wives aren't together fully. Guys, Garrick is a victim here. It is so hard on him. It is so hard on him as the man in this plural relationship. Oh, it's so hard. Oh God, give me strength. Unite these women, God. Make this more convenient for me, God, because all I want to do is get my dick wet. All of this is such bullshit. Natalia's friend feels that between Natalia and Danielle and Garrick, they should be a family. They should be united, but it's not going to be right now. She knows they need more time to work things out, especially between Danielle and Natalia. And Natalia's friend thinks that Garrick needs to pay more attention to both of his wives. And she thinks Natalia also needs to learn that this is a process, but she thinks Natalia is ready to learn. Natalia points out that she and Danielle, they're not in conflict right now. She feels there are no problems now between them, but that it's a work in progress and they're going to have to work to get better at their relationship. At this point, Natalia and Danielle hug in front of all of Natalia's friends. It all feels very performative. And Danielle says she knows it'll take work on her part, but also Natalia has to allow her some trust to show her. I think a lot of the sister-wife relationship is on the husband. It is on the wives as well, and they're accountable for making their relationship work to some extent, but it is severely affected by how the plural husband treats the wives. Is there a hierarchy? Does he have a favorite wife? Does he treat all his wives the same as if they're equal and give them the same amount of investment, effort, and communication? And we already have an answer to that. Garrick plays favorites. He would not be suited to polygamy at all. And there is no way in hell he could ever live in a functional polygamous dynamic, in my opinion. Danielle doesn't think that Natalia understands the role of sister wives. She feels that Natalia still lives in the mindset of a monogamous relationship. And Danielle felt that way when she and Garrick went from living monogamy to living plural. It was a big adjustment for her to understand that. And Danielle feels this today was a good step in the right direction, and she hopefully, that it will help Natalia open up. Danielle is going to try to be more engaging with Natalia. But if there isn't that sentiment there already, I feel having a baby, having a wedding, having Natalia eventually move to the US, it's not going to foster any type of relationship like that. Danielle and Natalia, they have no chemistry. They have no friendship vibes going, nothing. And I don't think time will change that. And I don't think these two, as sister wives, are willing to put the best interests of the family or the best interests of each other ahead of themselves in their relationship with Garrick. It's always going to be about the relationship with Garrick, and that's going to cause major problems between them if it were to work out, which we all know it won't. Next up are the Salahuddins. Things with Naeem's mom and Nyla are popping off. And Nyla feels that Naeem's mom has been very negative about polygamy, and now she is using their daughter as an excuse for why she doesn't like the lifestyle. And Nyla wanted to call Naeem's mom out. Nyla makes it clear that Naeem's mom doesn't talk to her daughter, and Naeem's mom feels disrespected. She is pissed that Naeem didn't step in and defend her. But his mom says she will not allow the disrespect. She asks for an apology, and Naeem says his mom is the one who owes his wife an apology. Nyla, of course, refuses. She says she doesn't care anymore what Naeem's mom thinks, what Naeem's mom wants. She is done giving a fuck. And Naeem's mom is done, and she leaves. And she threatens at this point to smack Nyla in the face, and she asks her what she thinks will happen when she does it. So both the women stand up, and everybody in the restaurant is looking, and Naeem's mom starts to take off her jacket as Nyla is pointing her finger in Naeem's mom's face. Nyla's mom says she is disrespectful. As a mom, she's disrespectful. She's disrespectful to her as the mother of her husband. And she says mothers don't act that way. Mothers don't act the way that Nyla just did. Wow. It really escalated. I was surprised that it almost resorted to violence. I think that's going way too far, obviously. It's not even worth it. Nyla realizes that Naeem's mom may never accept it, but she says her choices don't hinge on Naeem's mom's acceptance. But Naeem wants his mom to accept whoever he is with. Nyla doesn't care. She just wants her husband happy. She also wants her husband having a good relationship with his mom because she knows that's the only way he will be happy. This is a very toxic situation. No one knows their boundaries in this situation, and everyone feels comfortable overstepping them. And I think these conversations that involve a child should be done privately. These things should never be mentioned on the TV show. I agree with Naeem's mom. I don't think that's the best thing for the 14-year-old child to experience polygamy at this time, and a new wife dating their dad while still married to their mom. All of it's a lot for a 14-year-old. But I also think there was major disrespect on both sides. And the second I saw it escalate, even just a little, you know, in Naeem's position as the son, I would have just shut it down completely before it even went that far. And I definitely wouldn't have said anything to contribute to make the situation worse. I would want to shut it down and pacify immediately. That's my mother. That's my wife in that situation. It was too much, and Naeem should have shut it down. Now, part of me wonders if Nyla wanted to pursue polygamy as a way to just get under Naeem's mom's skin, because probably their whole marriage, there was Naeem and Nyla and Naeem's mom was probably always a little difficult for Nyla and for Naeem. They both seem to have some resentment towards her. There is definitely a lot of resentment between Nyla and Naeem's mom as well. I don't know if pursuing polygamy for Nyla has anything to do with getting under Naeem's mom's skin, but maybe, just maybe, it has a sliver of something to do with it. But that's just a thought. Next up, it's Garrick and Danielle's last night in Brazil. And even though the wedding didn't happen, it's Garrick's birthday, so Garrick and Danielle and Natalia are all going to dinner. Danielle feels she understands Natalia better now. She understands her feelings more after meeting her friends and having that talk. And Natalia tells Danielle that she thinks a baby will help unite them even more as a family. Natalia says last night was tough. It was a hard night for all of them. But Natalia is happy that she was able to work things out with Garrick and Danielle. She feels better about things, but she is really sad that Garrick and Danielle are leaving, and she really hopes to be reunited with them soon. Natalia is concerned. She knows relationships are difficult, especially when they're long distance. And her relationship is also a polygamous dynamic. Plus, they're adding the distance and the baby coming along. And she knows the Merrifields are adjusted to it. They're more used to this than she is. She's new just in general with relationships. So she's worried about this. And Garrick is very concerned. He hopes that they get that K-1 visa quickly. It's the only option they have now. It's very inconvenient and it can take a year and a half or longer. So Garrick feels if Natalia and Danielle are happy, then he is happy. He says the trip was a roller coaster. There was no wedding, but that's life. And he is happy that Danielle and Natalia are progressing as sisters. And he really feels like they are clicking now. Is Garrick stupid, or does Garrick just want to ignore the inconvenient? Danielle wants to work harder at her relationship with Natalia, and she wants to make sure she doesn't shut down with Natalia just because she is uncomfortable. And she looks forward, of course, to having Garrick all to herself again. So Garrick will spend the last night with Natalia. This is their sad goodbye. And next, they have to start the K-1 process. And then they will start with planning a trip for everyone to reunite. And it could be a while before Garrick gets his dick wet again. How sad. But Natalia is happy that everyone is getting along, and she naively expects all good times ahead and togetherness as a family and enjoying the family. I expect wealth and that mansion with an oceanfront view, but that doesn't mean I'm getting it. That does it for this episode. I'll be back next week with the next episode of Seeking Sister Wife, Season 5, Episode 11, Seeking a Connection. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon. Bye.